It hadn't been easy to see anything through the cloud of black smoke, so she'd slipped even lower and been engulfed in a sudden tornado of flame rising hundreds of feet from the 250-foot conifers below. They'd been drifting downward ever since. Brian met her gaze with worried eyes. "This plane's headed straight into the fire," he said from the open doorway. "We need to jump now, while there's still time to hit a safe clearing. Get over here, Tag. Move your butt." The use of her nickname, which came from her initials, Taylor Ann Grayhawk, conjured powerful, painful memories. Brian had dubbed her with it when he was a junior and she was a freshman at Jackson High. Taylor felt her stomach shift when the plane jolted as the right wingtip was abruptly shoved upward by a scorching gust of air. Time was running out. Her eyes were tearing from the smoke, and her chin was trembling despite her clenched teeth. In a voice that was hoarse but surprisingly composed, considering the desperation she felt inside, Taylor reported their position on the radio, along with the information she'd gleaned from their survey of the fire and the fact that she'd been unable to restart the engines. "I'm putting us down in the first clearing I find," she told the dispatcher. "Roger," the dispatcher replied. "Good luck." As Taylor surveyed the violent landscape, she figured it was going to take more than luck to survive. It was going to take a miracle. She didn't see an area large enough to allow her to land without going in nose first. If the crash didn't kill them, they would burn to death in the converging fire. She knew her thoughts should be focused on wind currents and lift and drag. What consumed her instead was her greatest regret. What would my life be like now if I hadn't broken up with Brian Flynn in high school? Taylor had memories of the few autumn months she'd secretly dated Brian that were hard to forget. Laughter, loving, sharing and bonding. He'd seemed almost as perceptive of her feelings as her fraternal twin, which was saying something, because her life and Vic's had been wrapped one around the other like clinging vines. It was easy to blame the tensions between their feuding families for driving them apart. Vic had been appalled when she discovered Taylor was dating one of those awful Flynn boys and demanded she stop seeing Brian. But ultimately, the decision had been hers. She was the one who'd given up on the possibility of loving and being loved. She was the one who'd walked away. After college, Brian had become a firefighter and married someone else. She'd become a corporate jet pilot who flew CEOs to meetings around the country and found time during the summer to drop smoke jumpers from a twin-engine Otter. She'd been engaged 3 times, but she'd never married. Since Brian's divorce a year ago, they were both single. During that year, she'd done nothing to engage his interest, nothing to reignite the secret romance of a lifetime that had been snuffed out 13 years ago, like a campfire you were done with. She'd often thought about approaching Brian once she learned he was free, but she'd waited too long. Very likely, they were going to die in the next few minutes. But if we live through this... "Tag?" She focused her gaze on the tall, broad-shouldered man who'd been forbidden fruit when she was a teenager. "I'm not leaving without you," Brian said from the doorway. "Get your beautiful ass over here." When their eyes met, she felt the past flooding back. All the things she should have done and hadn't. All the things she shouldn't have done and had. The hope of a future with Brian almost had her rising. But there was too much water under the bridge or water over the dam. She'd been disappointed too many times by too many men. Some people were lovable and some were not. She was just one of those people.